The sun over the Arizona territory did not simply shine, it burned. A merciless white eye, staring down at the lone rider. Struggling across the wasteland, Ethan Hale had been lost for 2 days. His horse exhausted, his canteen nearly dry, and every direction offering the same endless sea of red dust and jagged rock. The wind hissed across the desert floor like a whispering spirit, twisting sand into cruel spirals that clawed at his face. He was a surveyor, not a soldier. He had followed a map drawn by men who had never set foot in this land. And now it had betrayed him. The trail disappeared, the river dried up, and the last settlement lay at least 60 miles behind him. His only hope had been to reach Fort Bishop, but the desert swallowed him before he ever glimpsed its walls. His horse stumbled, knees buckling. Ethan leapt off just in time, but the animal collapsed, ribs heaving, foam at its mouth. No, stay with me," he whispered, voice cracked and hoarse. The horse let out a final shuddering breath and went still. Ethan bowed his head, not only mourning the creature but realizing the truth he had avoided. He would not survive another day on foot. The sun had claimed him. He staggered aimlessly, boots dragging trenches in the sand. His vision blurred, the horizon bending like heat-warped glass. Every breath felt like inhaling fire, he muttered to himself, fragments of prayers, curses, and regrets mixing together. He saw shadows dancing at the edges of his sight, coyotes, vultures, maybe spirits waiting to collect him. Soon he couldn't tell which were real. Then he heard drums. At first he thought it was his heartbeat, pounding irregularly in his ears. But the rhythm grew clearer, steady, controlled, echoing across the canyon walls. He lifted his head. Dark silhouettes appeared along a ridge, framed by the blazing sun, horsemen, spears glinting, feathers whipping in the wind. Apache. Ethan froze. He had heard every terrifying rumor whispered in saloons and mining camps. Apache warriors who struck without warning, vanishing into the land like ghosts. Raids where no prisoners were taken. Warriors who painted their faces with the blood of their enemies. His exhausted body wanted to run, but his legs refused to obey. The riders descended the slope like a storm, sand exploding under their hooves. Ethan raised trembling hands, forcing out, I mean no harm! But the words dissolved into a dry cough. The first rider was upon him in seconds, knocking him to the ground with the butt of a spear. He tasted blood, the world spinning. Voices surrounded him, sharp, commanding, unfamiliar. Hands grabbed him, turning him over. He glimpsed fierce eyes, braids adorned with bone and silver, skin painted with ochre markings. A warrior pressed a blade to his throat, cold metal biting his skin. Ethan shut his eyes, waiting for death. Instead, a voice rang out, firm, female, authoritative. The pressure lifted. The warrior stepped back. Ethan opened his eyes and saw her. She sat atop a white horse, posture tall and regal, black hair braided with turquoise and raven feathers. Her gaze was piercing, intelligent, assessing him not as prey, but as something unusual, something valuable. Her cheek bore a tattooed crescent marking her status. The warriors around her bowed their heads slightly. Their queen. She dismounted with fluid grace, boots sinking into the sand. Ethan could hardly breathe, not only from fear, but from the presence she carried. She knelt beside him, studying his face. He tried to speak, but only a ragged whisper came out. She placed a hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat, then spoke in a calm voice to her warriors. They lifted him not roughly, but with purpose. As they tied his hands and mounted him onto a horse, Ethan realized something chilling. The queen had spared him, but not out of mercy. There was intent in her eyes. A decision had been made. He was not being rescued. He was being taken to a fate he could not yet understand.